It was a chilly autumn afternoon when the world as I knew it began to unravel. The leaves were turning, vibrant shades of orange and gold, but my heart felt heavy, as if each falling leaf carried a piece of my joy with it. I remember the smell of burnt wood from a nearby fire, the crackle of the flames dancing in the air, masking the turmoil that was brewing within me. I was sitting on my porch, my favorite spot, where I had spent countless hours watching the seasons change, reflecting on life, and sipping my beloved chamomile tea. But that day, it all felt different. You see, I had recently lost my husband Harold after a long battle with illness. The silence that followed his passing was deafening. It was the kind of silence that wraps around you like a thick fog, isolating you from the world. I felt abandoned, not just by him, but also by the very essence of who I was. We had built a life together, rich with laughter, love, and shared dreams. Now it felt as if those dreams had been plucked from my grasp, leaving me with nothing but a void. As I sat there, I heard the soft crunch of gravel underfoot. It was my granddaughter, Lily, a bubbly young woman with a heart full of sunshine. She had always been my little ray of hope, but even her presence felt muted that day. She approached me cautiously, her eyes searching mine for a sign of the grandmother she adored. "Grandma, can I sit with you?" she asked, her voice laced with uncertainty. I nodded, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. We sat together in silence, watching the leaves flutter to the ground. It was during that quiet moment that Lily, with her youthful spirit, inadvertently began to stir something within me. She shared stories about her life, her dreams, and her fears, her words flowing like a gentle stream, washing over the rocks of my sorrow. I listened, and for the first time in months, I felt a flicker of warmth in my heart. But the breakthrough came unexpectedly a few weeks later. While sorting through some of Harold's old belongings, I stumbled upon a small, weathered box tucked away in the attic. It was filled with letters, photographs, and mementos from our life together. As I sifted through the contents, I felt the weight of memories pressing down on me. There was the ticket from our first concert, the pressed flowers from our wedding day, and a letter Harold had written to me on our anniversary. Each item sparked a memory, bringing both joy and tears. Amidst those fragments of our past, I found a letter addressed to me that I had never seen before. It was dated a few weeks before Harold passed. My hands trembled as I unfolded the paper, revealing his elegant handwriting. He spoke about love, about the beauty of growing old together, and how he hoped I would embrace the years ahead, not with fear, but with open arms. He urged me to find joy in the little things, to nurture the relationships that mattered, and to never let the shadows of loss dim my spirit. That letter was a turning point. It was as if Harold was speaking directly to my heart, reminding me of the woman I was before loss enveloped me. I realized that in my grief, I had allowed the world to fade into shades of gray. I had forgotten how to embrace joy, how to celebrate life, even with the weight of sorrow on my shoulders. With newfound determination, I decided to embrace age, to welcome the changes that came with it. I started with small steps. I began taking long walks through the local park, immersing myself in the sounds of laughter from children at play and the soft rustle of leaves in the wind. I joined a book club where I met other women who shared their stories, their struggles, and their triumphs. I discovered the joy of crafting, creating little treasures that brought my friends and family smiles. As the months slipped by, I found myself transforming in ways I never expected. I began to appreciate the beauty of my wrinkles, each line a testament to the life I had lived, the love I had shared, and the lessons I had learned. I discovered that there was a certain freedom in letting go of the fear of aging. I started to laugh more, to dance in my living room to old jazz records, and to find joy in the simplest of pleasures. One day I received a call from Lily. "Grandma, I'm coming over. I have something to show you." Her excitement was contagious, and I felt my heart lift as I prepared for her visit. When she arrived, she brought a surprise, a scrapbook filled with memories of our time together, photographs of us laughing, and notes she had written about what I meant to her. As we flipped through the pages, I saw myself reflected in her eyes, vibrant, full of life, and cherished. That day, as we reminisced and created new memories, I realized that embracing age was not just about accepting physical changes. It was about celebrating the wisdom, the love, and the connections forged through the years. It was about allowing myself to be vulnerable, to share my journey, and to inspire others to do the same. But the true test of my transformation came when I faced the ghosts of my past. One quiet evening, I decided to confront the lingering feelings of abandonment and loss. I visited the gravesite where Harold lay, a place I had avoided for months. As I stood before his headstone, I felt a wave of emotions crash over me. Instead of anger or sadness, I felt gratitude. Gratitude for the love we had shared, for the lessons learned, and for the strength I had discovered within myself. I spoke to him, sharing my journey, my fears, and my newfound joy. I thanked him for his love and for the letter that had ignited a spark within me. In that moment, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I was no longer a prisoner of my grief. I was a woman who had embraced her age, her experiences, and her future. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow over the landscape, I realized that life is a series of transformations. Each wrinkle tells a story. Each gray hair holds a memory. I had learned to embrace my age, not as a burden, but as a beautiful tapestry woven with love, loss, and resilience. And in doing so, I found a purpose: to share my journey, to inspire others to embrace their own transformations, and to remind them that every stage of life is worthy of celebration. This journey of embracing age has been unexpected, filled with challenges and triumphs. I've learned that it's never too late to rediscover oneself, to find joy in the everyday, and to connect deeply with those we love. I invite you to reflect on your own journey, to embrace the beauty of your own age, and to share your thoughts with me. What experiences have shaped your life? What transformations have you embraced? I'd love to hear your thoughts. What topics about embracing age should we explore in the next video? I stood there, the sun dipping low on the horizon, feeling lighter than I had in years. It was as if, with every sigh I released, I was letting go of not just my grief, but also the weight of expectations that had been heaped upon me. Expectations of how a woman my age should behave, what she should wear, and how she should feel. I turned away from Harold's gravesite with a sense of liberation, almost giddy as I realized that I was reclaiming my narrative. In the days that followed, I found myself drawn to new experiences like a moth to a flame. One afternoon, I wandered into a local community center and stumbled upon a dance class for seniors. There was something so inviting about the laughter spilling from the open doors, so I decided to peek in. To my surprise, the instructor was a sprightly woman in her 70s, showing off some impressive moves. I felt a spark of spontaneity ignite within me. Why not? I thought, What do I have to lose? As I stepped onto the dance floor, I felt an exhilarating mix of nerves and excitement. The music enveloped me, and I quickly realized that dance was not merely about the steps. It was about expression, joy, and connection. With each sway and twirl, I felt my spirit lift, as if the music was pulling me into a new realm of possibility. Who knew that my body could still move like this? The more I danced, the more I laughed, and the more I laughed, the more I felt alive. In that class, I met a wonderful group of ladies, each with stories that resonated deeply with me. We shared not just our passion for dance, but also our fears, our dreams, and the lessons we had learned along the way. We laughed about our aches and pains, but there was also a profound sense of camaraderie that blossomed among us. It was as if we were all part of a secret club that celebrated the beauty of aging. One of the most unexpected friendships blossomed with a woman named Marjorie. She was vibrant and fierce, with a zest for life that was contagious. Over cups of herbal tea after class, we began to share our life stories. Marjorie had recently taken up painting, and she invited me to join her for a weekend workshop. At first, I hesitated, the inner critic whispering doubts about my artistic abilities. But then I remembered the letter from Harold, his words echoing in my mind, urging me to embrace new experiences without fear. So I said yes. That weekend, armed with a paintbrush and a blank canvas, I felt the thrill of creativity awaken within me. With each stroke, I poured out my emotions, colors blending in ways I never thought possible. It was messy, chaotic, and utterly freeing. The workshop turned into a joyful mess of laughter and paint splatters, and we all left with our own little masterpieces, each one telling a story of transformation and rediscovery. As I embraced these new ventures, I began to realize that age had opened doors I never knew existed. It was like stepping into a vibrant gallery of life, where every experience added a new brushstroke to my canvas. I started to write more, documenting not just my journey, but also sharing wisdom and insights that came from my own experiences. I found that writing was therapeutic, a way to not only process my feelings, but also to connect with others who might be feeling the weight of their own transitions. Then came the day Lily suggested I start a blog. "Grandma, your stories are incredible. You need to share them with everyone," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. It felt like a daunting idea at first, putting my thoughts out into the vast expanse of the internet. But her encouragement ignited a spark. I thought back to the women in my dance class, the stories they shared, and how transformative it was to connect with others. So I took the plunge. I crafted my first post, detailing my journey of embracing age and the unexpected joys that came with it. To my surprise, the response was overwhelming. Women from all walks of life began to comment, sharing their own stories, their fears, and their triumphs. I realized that I was not alone. We were all navigating this beautiful, messy journey together. Each comment felt like a virtual hug, a reminder that there is strength in vulnerability and power in connection. Soon, my little corner of the internet became a thriving community. I started receiving messages from women who had been inspired to embrace their own age, to try new things, and to celebrate their unique journeys. Some shared their own letters of love loss and transformation, echoing the sentiments that Harold had expressed in his final note to me. It was a beautiful reminder that we are all connected, woven together by our experiences, our stories, and our shared humanity. One evening, as I was preparing to write my next post, I received a message from a woman named Clara. She had recently lost her partner and was struggling to find her footing in a world that felt foreign and heavy. I felt an instant connection with her pain, and I decided to reach out. We arranged a virtual coffee chat, and as we spoke, I could hear the flickers of hope in her voice. I shared my story of transformation, the letter, the dances, and the friendships I had cultivated by the end of our conversation. There was a palpable shift. She seemed lighter, as if the weight of her sorrow had begun to lift. It struck me then that this was not just about my transformation. It was about creating a ripple effect in the lives of others. The more we embrace our age, the more we empower those around us to do the same. It's not just about me, it's about us, a collective movement of women celebrating the beauty of life at every stage. So I invite you to reflect on your own experiences. What transformations have you embraced? How have your challenges shaped your journey? Your stories are invaluable and can inspire others to find their own paths to joy and acceptance. Let's share our narratives, lift each other up, and celebrate the incredible tapestry of life we are weaving together. If you're curious about my unexpected journey with age, like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more real stories. As I continued to share my experiences, I found myself reflecting more deeply on the small joys that had once slipped under the radar. It wasn't just the big transformations that mattered. It was also the little things, like the way the sunlight danced through the leaves in my garden, or the smell of fresh coffee brewing in the morning. I realized that embracing age had opened my eyes to the beauty that surrounded me every day. One sunny afternoon, I decided to take my newfound appreciation for life a step further. I signed up for a photography class at the community center. I had always admired the way some people could capture a moment, freezing it in time with just a click. The thought of exploring this new art form excited me, and I couldn't wait to see the world through a different lens, literally. On the first day of class, I met a diverse group of aspiring photographers, each with their own unique perspectives. There was Tom, a retired teacher who had a knack for landscapes, and Lisa, a bubbly grandmother who adored capturing candid moments of everyday life. As we gathered around, the instructor encouraged us to find beauty in the mundane, look for stories in the little things, she said, and I felt that familiar spark of excitement. Armed with my camera, I took to the streets, snapping photos of flowers blooming in window boxes, children playing in the park, and even the barista at my favorite coffee shop. With every click, I felt a rush of joy and creativity. It was as if I was rediscovering the world. One image at a time, I started to see the nuances of life, the way light reflected off glass, the subtle expressions on people's faces, and the vibrant colors that painted the world around me. One day, while reviewing my photos, I stumbled upon a picture of a young girl joyfully spinning in a field. The sheer exhilaration captured in that moment resonated deeply with me. It reminded me of the freedom I felt while dancing, and I realized that this was a common thread running through all my recent experiences. Whether on the dance floor or behind the camera, I was learning to let go and embrace spontaneity. With a newfound confidence, I decided to host a small exhibition at the community center, showcasing my work and the stories behind each image. The idea of sharing my journey in this way thrilled me, yet I also felt a twinge of apprehension. What if no one came? What if they didn't connect with my art? But then I thought of all the women I had met in my dance class and through my blog, and I realized that vulnerability was part of the process. As the day of the exhibition approached, I poured my heart into the preparations. I created little tags for each photo, sharing the stories behind them and how they connected to my journey of embracing age. The evening of the exhibition was a whirlwind of excitement. Friends, family, and even strangers from the community came to support me. I watched as people laughed and shared their interpretations of my work, and in that moment, I felt a sense of belonging. One woman approached me, her eyes glistening with emotion. "Your photos remind me of my own journey," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I've been so afraid to embrace my age, but seeing your work has inspired me to start looking for beauty in my own life." Her words struck a chord with me, echoing the sentiments I had felt during my own transformation. It was a beautiful reminder that our stories, no matter how personal, had the power to touch others. After the exhibition, I realized that my journey was not just about my own transformation. It had become a shared experience. I began to think about how I could continue to cultivate this sense of community. What if we organized more events, like art classes or storytelling nights, where women could come together, share their experiences, and inspire one another? I shared this idea with Marjorie over a cup of herbal tea, and she was immediately on board. "Let's do it," she exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. We brainstormed ideas and started reaching out to other women in our community to see if they'd be interested in participating. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and soon we were planning our first storytelling night, where women could come together to share their narratives and support one another. As the event drew near, I felt a mix of excitement and nerves. Would people show up? Would they feel comfortable sharing their stories? But deep down, I knew that this was an essential part of my journey, creating a space for connection, vulnerability, and empowerment. The night of the event arrived, and the room was filled with warmth and laughter. Women of all ages gathered, sharing their stories with open hearts. There was something magical about hearing each other's experiences, the way we resonated with each other's struggles and triumphs. I listened as one woman spoke about her fears of growing older, while another shared how she had embraced her age through travel and adventure. Each story was like a thread woven into a beautiful tapestry of shared experiences. By the end of the night, I felt a deep sense of fulfillment. We had created a safe haven for women to come together, to celebrate life, and to embrace the beauty of aging. It was a reminder that our journeys, though unique, are intertwined in ways we often overlook. Reflecting on these moments, I realized how transformative it had been to embrace age, not just for myself, but for everyone around me. It was about finding strength and connection, sharing laughter, and cultivating a community that thrives on positivity and support. So, I encourage you to think about your own journey. What transformations have you embraced? And how can your story inspire others? I'd love to hear your thoughts. What topics about embracing age should we explore in the next video? If you're curious about my unexpected journey with age, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more real stories. As I reflected on the storytelling night, I felt a wave of inspiration wash over me. It was incredible how sharing our experiences could foster such a sense of belonging. I realized that embracing age was not just about me. It was about creating a ripple effect in the lives of those around us. I started to think about how I could further engage with this community and deepen our connections. One morning, while enjoying my coffee, an idea struck me. What if I organized a joyful journaling workshop? The concept was simple. Gather a group of women together to write about their experiences, fears, and dreams related to aging. Writing had always been a therapeutic outlet for me, and I believed it could be a powerful tool for others as well. I envisioned a space where we could share our words and support each other through the process of self-discovery. Excited by the prospect, I reached out to Marjorie, who was instantly enthusiastic. "That sounds fabulous. Let's make it happen," she said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. We spent hours planning, discussing different prompts that would encourage reflection and creativity. We wanted participants to feel safe and empowered to explore their thoughts without judgment. The day of the workshop arrived, and I was both nervous and thrilled. As women began to filter in, I noticed the diversity in the room. Different ages, backgrounds, and life experiences. I welcomed everyone and shared my own journey of embracing age, hoping to set a tone of openness and vulnerability. As I looked around, I could see the same spark of curiosity and excitement mirrored in their faces. We started with some icebreaker activities to get everyone comfortable. Laughter filled the air as we shared silly stories about our lives, and it was as if the weight of our worries lifted, even if just for a moment. Then we transitioned into journaling, with prompts ranging from, "What does aging mean to you?" to "Write a letter to your younger self." The energy in the room shifted as pens began to move across pages, and I could feel a collective sense of release. As the hours passed, I encouraged participants to share snippets of their writings if they felt comfortable. One woman shared her fears about becoming invisible as she aged. Her vulnerability resonated with many. Another spoke about her dreams of pursuing a new hobby she had always put off. It was heartwarming to see how each story connected us, weaving a beautiful tapestry of shared experiences and emotions. After the workshop, I noticed several women lingering, eager to continue the conversation. They exchanged phone numbers and promised to meet for coffee. I realized that what we had created was more than just a workshop. It was the beginning of new friendships and support systems. The power of community was unfolding before my eyes, and I felt a sense of pride in facilitating this space. As the weeks went by, I received messages from participants sharing their progress. One woman had finally signed up for that pottery class she had been dreaming about, while another had started a blog to document her journey of self-acceptance. Each message filled my heart with joy, reinforcing the idea that embracing age was not just an individual journey, but a shared adventure. Inspired by this momentum, I decided to start a monthly Embrace Age meetup at the community center. This would be a casual gathering where women could come together, share their experiences, and support one another through the ups and downs of aging. I envisioned it as a safe haven where laughter and tears could coexist, where stories could be told without fear of judgment. As I spread the word, I was amazed by the response. Women from all walks of life showed interest in joining. I set up a small corner of the community center with cushions and fairy lights, creating a cozy atmosphere for our gatherings. The first meetup was filled with nervous excitement, but as we settled in, the conversations flowed effortlessly. We shared everything from our accomplishments to our struggles, and it felt like a warm embrace. During these meetups, I introduced themes for discussion, such as redefining beauty and celebrating milestones. Each session brought forth deeper conversations, and I watched as connections grew stronger. The women began to support each other in ways I hadn't anticipated, offering advice, sharing resources, or simply being there to listen. It was a beautiful reminder that we were all in this together. One evening, as I sat surrounded by laughter and chatter, I realized how much had changed in my own life since embracing age. I had transitioned from a place of insecurity to one of empowerment. The connections I had formed were invaluable, and I felt more alive than ever. It became clear to me that age was not a limitation. It was an invitation to explore new possibilities. As I continued to share my story, both through my photography and these community events, I felt a growing sense of purpose. I wanted to reach more women. to let them know they weren't alone in their fears and dreams. I began brainstorming ideas for a podcast where I could invite guests to share their experiences and insights about embracing age. I envisioned a platform where stories could be shared, laughter could be had, and together we could inspire each other to live fully, regardless of age. With every step I took, my heart swelled with gratitude for the unexpected transformation that had unfolded. Embracing age had not only changed my perspective, but had also connected me to so many incredible women. It was a reminder that our stories, our struggles, and our triumphs are intertwined in ways we often overlook. So, what about you? How have you embraced age in your life? What stories do you have to share? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're curious about how to cultivate a community around this theme, share your experiences in the comments and subscribe for more insightful stories. As I wrap up this journey of embracing age, I can't help but reflect on the incredible transformation it has sparked, not just in my life, but in the lives of so many women I've connected with. From the initial storytelling night to creating a nurturing space for joyful journaling and monthly meetups, it's been a beautiful reminder that age is not something to fear, but rather a canvas for self-discovery and connection. Each story shared has woven a tapestry of support and inspiration, proving that we are far from alone in our experiences. As we gathered, laughed, and cried together, I realized that every encounter was a step toward empowerment and fulfillment. It's about celebrating the milestones, redefining beauty, and cultivating a community where we can all thrive, regardless of age. So, what about you? How have you embraced age in your life? What stories do you have to share? I'd love to hear your thoughts. What topics about embracing age should we explore in the next video? If you're curious about my unexpected journey with age, comment your thoughts and subscribe for more real stories. Let's continue this adventure together, because the best is yet to come.